Whoever invented the trap was a genius. Made American soldiers suffer in Vietnam. The most famous was the bamboo tip trap. The Vietnamese coated the bamboo tips with feces. If a soldier accidentally stepped on one, even if he was rescued, it didn't help. He would soon die of infection. There was also the even more vicious snake trap, replacing the bamboo tips with poisonous snakes. If someone is lucky enough to fall into it, it's basically a dead end. The Vietnamese sometimes put snakes in their bags. If a curious American opens it, the American soldier would be waiting for a viper's kiss. But the most ingenious was the bullet trap. A bullet was placed on a nail and wrapped in a bamboo tube. If a lucky American stepped on it, the bullet's primer takes a hit, and a hole was shot through the sole of the foot. There are even more outrageous hornet traps. When the rope was stepped on, a hornet's nest was exposed. These bees stung as soon as they saw an American soldier. It's a real pain in the ass, and they can be linked to the bamboo traps. The Americans panicked and plunged into the pit in front of them. The whole body was pierced through. But I think this is the worst. 2 bamboo planks are tied with leather bands, with a wooden stick in the center for support. If you step on them, without the support of the wooden stick, the bamboo planks will immediately close up. The next thing that will happen to the American troops is that they will be pierced by 1,000 arrows. Viet Cong's traps are really tough. They made the American soldiers go crazy. For example, the bamboo tip trap hidden behind the door. Whenever the Americans opened the door, it would be triggered. They'd be shot in the head by a number of bamboo spikes. The deaths were horrific. The Vietnamese would put poisonous snakes in their bags before they retreated. Once the Americans opened it, they would get a big surprise. They even customized a mine trap based on the American Army's penchant for collecting flags. If the Americans lowered their flags, they'll end up with a grenade. This set of combinations, it made the Americans suspicious all the time. The Vietnamese would also make the Americans pass through the path of the Americans. When the Americans pass a vertical bridge, it breaks. You know what happens when you fall into a trap. You get your organs pierced. Traps like this were the most common for the Americans. American soldiers had steel plates in the soles of their shoes as a precaution. But the Vietnamese were even worse. They even redesigned a set of bamboo tips based on the fly trap principle. When the Americans stepped on it, it didn't set off the trap. But if you dare to lift your foot, multiple bamboo sticks will go in hard. And these traps are all made of natural materials. Even if the Americans use mine detectors, they can't recognize them. Whoever invented the trap was a genius. It's a real pain in the ass for the American soldier. Like the Vietnamese invented the pedal trap, they were designed to deal with American steel-toed shoes. Once the American soldier stepped into it, dozens of bamboo sticks were inserted directly into the calf and make them suffer. But what's even worse is the can tripwire. 2 grenades were stuffed into an empty can. The grenades were pulled by a tripwire in the middle. If an American soldier passes by and touches the tripwire, he'll be killed. But the most insidious of all was the crossbow trap. If an American soldier touches the tripwire, the locking mechanism connected to the tripwire instantly releases poisoned arrows coated with feces. It shoots directly at the American soldier. Even Jesus couldn't save him. Then there's the mind-bending bamboo trap. If an American soldier passes by unnoticed, the bamboo rafts will fall from the sky. We'll randomly select a few lucky people. The deaths were horrific. The Vietnamese would never let go of a snake. They threw them into the traps they had dug. The soldier who fell in would get a big surprise. The snakes were thrilled to see their prey at their doorstep. The men up there are dumbfounded when they see these traps. Who dares to go down to save them?